classic, not diving with Scuba.
Like, coming back to the new record, the making of it, obviously very different to doing it in a shed out the back of Rollo's house. I mean, the way in which music is made now has changed fundamentally. The whole AI thing has become a really pertinent issue. Not necessarily just generating tracks, but using AI and plugins, all that kind of stuff. From a sort of technical perspective, what are your general observations about what it's like to make music now? And maybe the pros and cons of the developments, yeah?
I'd say the cons are, when is something finished? There are so many plugins, there are so many multiple ways to do things, so many kind of sonic adventures you can go on, so many samples to check out, even within Apple Loops, for example, before you've even bought a sample pack. There is this, what can I say? It's like a soup that you have to kind of wade through to find the essence of something. So the kind of sense of sonic adventure is exciting on one hand, but yet it makes finishing things really, really quite difficult. I would also say that kind of digital process, I think you have to work really hard with the mix in a way that perhaps we didn't. We threw things together in a more intuitive way, but now everything goes through a function one, and the way that decks are set up, the whole kind of digital interface, and the way we master now, this kind of maxing out kind of, limiters, smashing the limiters.
It's all a lot more scientific.
Everything's so loud, but you also need it to be contained because the systems themselves gives you so much bass. So we find mixing actual club tracks a real headache. Sometimes we just now pay someone else to do it,
which is
because the fiddling with the bottom end and the kick,
endless.
Oh my God, you'd think after 30 years we'd have it locked down. But you see, we used to work with an engineer as well as doing a lot of engineering ourselves, and then it became unaffordable because then, so again, the cons are the income from releasing music is pretty negligible. The income from touring and performing is what keeps us going. That's how we survive. But unfortunately, the absolutely terrible deal artists have got in the world of streaming means that, it's great to have a presence. It's great to still have an audience. But my God, if we were just releasing music into the world of streaming, we'd have to give up our studios tomorrow, wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage. It's just not a sustainable model. So in brief, those are the sort of pros and cons, where the production of the music is tied to the expense of making it, to the, what you're likely to make back after all that effort. Literally I've just had some masters cut today because we are about to release a new club EP. Very excited to release some cuts outside of an album, which is not something we've done for a long time. And we've just made some really club focused tracks, which I'm super excited about. But we're having them mastered 3 times because it's just like, oh God, is it a bit distorted? And have we sorted the bottom end out? And is it us or is it them? Or, so we've just gone, oh my gosh, it's a real headache. And we're both sitting there with it cranked up to 11 going, well, how does it sound in your studio? So, it takes us longer to make music now, I think, not just because life gets in the way. We're parents and we have kids and all their mad little lives to deal with, but just because there is so much more work technically, so much more refining of each sonic component that goes in, and we use live as well. So we're not just doing everything off of sample packs and synthesizers. There's a live component as well. And I think for us, the sound of Faithless that is, or was quite distinct, is this sense of grandeur and an epic vibe. And I'd say a little bit of that came from, in the early days, using an SSL to mix, that separated all the sound out in a particular way and had these particular EQs. And back in the day, we were all mixing on like Spirit, was it Soundcraft Sapphire? So, but some of my favourite records were mixed on the smallest, crappiest desks. It's always about an idea, isn't it? But I'd say now that the music is sort of precision engineered. It's very clean, it's very crisp. Absolutely. It has this huge separation and it's very, very loud. And some of our music is more nuanced and more textured, and we don't also want that to get lost. So it's a fine balance between what makes Faithless Faithless. And of course, Maxi was a defining element of that. And that marriage of sort of spoken word and epic, euphoric, yet melancholic backing tracks. So for me, it's always, and Rollo, we're always battling to have the warmth that Faithless has and the epic sense, but without, I suppose, it becoming this cliche, because so many people have kind of done our sound, the big drop, the huge riff, EDM kind of like paraphrased our sound in a way.
Yeah, not in a good way, unfortunately. But
No.
let me ask you one more. I had this theory that basically every musician of any level of success, even the most successful musicians, tend to be defined by a really small amount of their repertoire, like 1 or 2 tracks.
Just insomnia.
And this is, but I think this is true from like, Vivaldi to, David Bowie to, whoever. And obviously, with you guys, it's insomnia. It's Scott as a DJ for the most part. I think those two, that's what people I think. And it's that kind of big trancey clubby sound. But as we mentioned at the start, that's really not that representative of the catalogue as a whole. I mean, do you agree with that? And how do you feel about that? If you're, I mean, is it just like, I'm grateful that people like it, and any sort of like, of that kind of recognition is a blessing, or is it a little bit frustrating?
No, I think it's the latter, the former. It's the former.
Okay.
It is absolutely incredible. People wait their whole lives to have a record that was as globally successful as Insomnia. And it wasn't an overnight success. And I think the fact that we've put other music, I suppose, with conscious lyrics around that's like the gateway drug. That's the door that has allowed us to open into all these other worlds, to having an audience, to be able to make whatever it is, 8 albums, to do soundtracks and scoring, which is something I love doing. That has been the key as well. With, I'd say, the tireless work we've done live. We really have gone round the world.
Yeah, those are hard yards.
Dragging our sorry asses from here to there, And I feel in some ways in the live arena, people are very surprised about the contrast and the different kind of, genres that we bring, but hopefully making it all one kind of coherent whole. So I'd say, total gratitude. I'm not frustrated. I'd love people to listen to all of our music. So thank you for doing that the other night. Especially some of the chilled stuff I think is really, really beautiful. Awesome. And it's a big part of me and our music making process for sure. And maybe that's what makes Faithless more enduring, is that it goes beyond the dance floor, and that you can listen to albums in all sorts of different contexts. And like I say, I still love the album format, and I still love the vinyl format. So, may analog reign.
Absolutely.